Welcome to One More Thing. I'm Pastor Brett. I'm here with Pastor Larry, and we're talking about last Sunday's excellent sermon, by the way. I didn't mention that in staff this time, but it was really great. And I especially appreciated the study that Tony Campolo did, and in the three highest mentions by 95-year-olds as to how they would have done things different. So just go over that for us.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to study that 95-year-olds, they surveyed 50, those over 95 years old, and they said, if you could live your life over again, what would you do differently? Good question. Mm-hmm. And after all these surveys, the three things came out as the top, the most mentioned. And the first one was, that I would reflect more. And what does that mean? It simply means that life goes so quickly. And if you don't pause in your life to think about where you are, what's going on, are you doing what you really want, it could slip by too quickly. And they said it slipped by. And we wish we'd have thought more about every day and appreciated the moments of every day. And there are family moments in there. And I talked about that this week, that my grandson graduated from high school this weekend. And he's 17 years old, be 18 this summer. And all of a sudden in my reflection, I thought, 50 years ago, I graduated from high school. Yeah. This is the year for my 50th year anniversary. And I'm going, where did the time go? I should have reflected more. And I think you could slow the clock down a little bit when you pause and reflect. Mm-hmm. And you pour more value into every day rather than just like a stone skipping across the surface of a lake. Sometimes you need to stop the skipping and just maybe tread water a little while.
Live in the now, as some say.
I agree with that completely. So that's the first thing, just reflect more. The second thing that they suggest is they would take more risk. And I found that fascinating because at 95 years old, maybe they don't take risk at 95.
Yeah.
But they look back and said, maybe I didn't jump out of an airplane. I could have. At 95, it's too late. So, and of course, the joke is, why would anybody jump out of a perfectly good airplane? And
maybe 95 is the perfect age to jump out of an airplane.
I recommend a parachute. But I've jumped 3 times. But certain things in life we take risk, but they're calculated risk. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we play it safe all the time. I'm so afraid I'm going to get hurt, so therefore I never got married. Or I was so afraid about the society and the world that we're in, I didn't have kids. And they wish they'd taken more risk.
Yes.
I could have started a business. I was too nervous. Or I could have gone into that career, but I chose a different path. And they play a lot of what if. What if I'd done this? And I think that I would have risked more. I would have been a little more, boldly go where no man has gone before. At least part of that.
And don't you think that the reflection part of that aids us so much in not doing the what ifs?
I agree. I couldn't say it better. I mean, if we reflect more, maybe we'd take more risk. Mm-hmm. And it's because we don't think through. My initial response, someone says, well, I want you to do this for me. I said, well, my initial response is going to be no. Would you like me to think about it? And anybody with the right mind, this is what I say to my kids, and the right answer is, well, then think about it. Because right now, if you want an answer, it's no. But if you let me think about it, it might be a yes. But reflection, I think, helps us to come up with more yeses. Mm-hmm. But without reflection, it's no, I'm not going to do that, not going to do that, not going to do that.
Or the wrong kind of yes.
Agreed.
Without reflection.
Agreed.
If you're a people pleaser.
Yeah, agreed. So I think that's, I think that reflection's critical. Mm-hmm. I think taking more risk, whatever that means.
Not reckless risks, but calculated risks.
I had a friend of mine that said, I'm not investing in anything. I've got my money in CDs. And I said, what are you earning on CDs? 0.5%. I go, the biggest risk you're taking is leaving your money there. Inflation's higher. You're going backwards from a financial standpoint. No decision is a risk as well. You're risking losing a lot of your nest egg by doing nothing.
Yeah, so, you're guaranteeing loss.
Yeah, he said, I'm risk averse. I said, you are not risk averse. You're just being head in the sand as an ostrich puts his head down. So, but taking risk, calculate risk. But you reflect, I think you're right. You reflect and you take those risks. And lastly, do something that will, outlive you. Put your mark in the sand. I mean, I don't think any of us want to just, and in a few years, no one remembers. Now, I will say, unless you've written a book or something that really goes on for a long time, usually your grandchildren will remember you, and great-grandchildren probably not. And great-greats, come on. Are you kidding?
No.
I know my downline, I know my parents very well and my in-laws. I never knew, I knew one of Becky's, I knew her grandmother and grandfather on one side. And then I knew my grandparents, but nothing beyond that. And I just barely remember my own grandparents.
Yeah.
So what impact did they have on me? I don't know. But I think it'd be nice to look back and say, could they have invested in something that outlives them? Yes. Now, let me give you a positive example. Becky's dad.
Yeah.
His name was Frank
I was going
Kraft.
to ask you about that. Yeah.
He's a great guy. I mean, he used to, they do family vacations. We took family vacations with him every year. In the mountains, where we're both going to be in a few weeks, in a month or so. But that's something he did. He took Becky and me on international with our kids. We went. When Ryan was 3 years old, we went to New Zealand, Australia. With a 3-year-old, are you out of your mind? And he paid the way. He said, "You drive, I'll buy." I said, "Let me think about it." Okay. Didn't take a lot of reflection.
Yeah, it didn't take a lot.
I quickly jumped into it. But what he did, he gave some of his resources, and he also gave his time to be a part of this family unit.
Yeah.
And that guy he was at my college graduation, so were my parents, which I'm grateful. And when I graduated from seminary, my in-laws were there. My father-in-law was there, my mother-in-law. When I got my PhD, my father-in-law was there, and my mother-in-law. And the joke is, I'll tell the joke on him. He's been gone now since 2001, but we're on our way up. We're up I-75. We're going up. He says, now, but he never could remember Florida State or University of Florida. And he says, so he said, we're going up here. You're graduating from FU? I said, Frank, it's FSU or UFFU is probably not something we want to talk about in this podcast. So he teased him quite a bit about that. But, the guy at 83 passed away. But what a legacy. His family. He made a mark in this world, and he made a mark on me. In my heart and my mind, he was always listening and was good for me. And I would like to have that same privilege as you would.
Oh, I thought that very thing when you said that the family on that side celebrates his birthday.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
And he's been dead since
2001. So this is his 23rd birthday party after he died.
I would love if I left a mark like that.
Yeah. You will be lucky. Well, they'll be celebrating when we're gone. Thank God they're gone.
I guess that's something. It's not nothing.
That's right. That's right. So, but I think these values are important. And one of the things I wanted to tie this up on the weekend, did not. So we tied up in one more thing, is that who's an example of this? And if we look to the New Testament, I think you see Jesus is a guy that tells that he spent time in prayer. He withdrew to the wilderness. He reflected in the Garden of Gethsemane. He reflected, what. And Mark, when he pulled himself away from the big healing ministry, he was off praying. He spent some time in reflection. The second thing he did, he took a risk. Anybody
more
didn't
than
think,
most.
More than most. And calculated risk, I have to go to Jerusalem. That's what I have to do. His disciples said, well, you're nuts. You shouldn't do that, but I guess we'll go with him. We'll be killed as well. But he took risk, but he left a mark on humanity that no one else has. Like
Absolutely.
That. And you look at that and say, there's a life that had value. There's a life that is remembered. So we could learn something from those 95-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
And I think as we listen a little carefully, there may be another 2 or 3 things that they have to say to us that
I'm sure.
Of course, as I get older, I got a few of those things to say myself. Take time for those things. Yeah. They're valuable, and I think that's important for us.
I agree. Well, great sermon. Appreciate all that you do.
I appreciate it, Brett. Thank you so much for the time.